We've talked a lot this week about refugees from Gaza coming into this country and the astonishing revelation from the Director General of ASIO, Mike Burgess, that Palestinians could be accepted from Gaza even if they support the bloodthirsty Islamist extremist terrorist organisation of Hamas that runs Gaza and conducted the atrocity that slaughtered more than 1,200 Israelis and triggered the current war.
If they're giving financial support or material aid, that can be a problem, and obviously we take each case on its merits in the context of the information we have before us.
But if it's just rhetorical support?
If it's just rhetorical support and they don't have an ideology or support for a violent extremism ideology, then that's not a problem.
Just incredible. And that story developed further yesterday when I showed you how senior Liberals were demanding the government guarantee that this does not happen, that supporters of Hamas would never be allowed into this country.
We're seeing this at a time when countries like Germany, a like-minded country to Australia, is expelling Hamas supporters.
The department needs to be directed to not approve the visa of any person who can be identified to be as a supporter of a terrorist organisation.
Well, that was all fair enough, of course, but this morning, Opposition Leader Peter Dutton took all ambiguity out of the matter, demanding at least a temporary end to the Gaza refugee intake.
If people are coming in from that war zone and we're uncertain about identity or their allegiances, Hamas is a listed terrorist organisation. They've just committed an atrocity against the Jewish people, the biggest attack on people of Jewish faith since the Holocaust. And that the government wouldn't be conducting checks. I don't think people should be coming in from that war zone at all.
That's a clear and strong call, and it immediately triggered emotive rebukes from Labor.
And I'd invite Peter Dutton to come to my electorate and meet the people who've come here from Gaza. There's more than 1,000 people from Gaza here now. These are people who've had their home blown up, who've had their school blown up, who've had their hospital blown up, in some cases have had their kids blown up.
To underline its position, Labor released figures showing that it's issued almost 3,000 visas to Palestinians since October the 7th last year, and about 1,300 of them have arrived here, but it's also rejected more applications than that, many more than that, mainly because the applicants can't get out of Gaza. These are pretty big numbers, and it is legitimate to ask why Australia is taking refugees from Gaza when the countries that have been the traditional homelands of the Palestinians, like Egypt and Jordan, are not taking refugees. The priority surely should be defeating Hamas, returning Israeli hostages, and liberating the Palestinians from their terrorist overlords, not evacuating them. The issue dominated Question Time.
Prime Minister, in order to hold a visa, individuals must pass a character test. Does supporting a listed terrorist organisation like Hamas pass Australia's character test?
If the Leader of the Opposition doesn't have confidence in that system, he should say so. It's exactly the same system that was in place when the Leader of the Opposition was the Minister for Immigration, who presided over these issues.
The Prime Minister accused the Opposition Leader of seeking to divide the nation. Still, the questions kept coming, as did the non-answers.
Can the Prime Minister guarantee that no individual who participated in or supported the October 7 Hamas terror attacks, the worst mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust, has been granted a visa by his government?
We have exactly the same security arrangements that were in place when you were in government, when your leader was, or not your leader, but the leader of the Liberal Party, was the Minister for Immigration, and I have confidence in the work that our security agencies do. They work their guts out to keep us safe.
While the politics plays out in Parliament, the social division caused by this issue played out in Sydney's Inner West last night when the local council met to consider a Greens anti-Israel motion supporting boycotts, divestments and sanctions against Israel, and the protest was organised to coincide with that vote. The meeting went for almost 4 hours with interjections and interruptions from the public gallery as the Labor mayor struggled to maintain control.
Shame on Labor. Shame. You've made your decision tonight. You've made your decision. We'll see you at the election. You're not getting back in.
Jewish residents spoke and reportedly were shouted down as pro-Palestinian protesters. Some involved in the blockade of the Prime Minister's nearby electorate office shouted down opponents of the motion. The mayor eventually shut down the meeting.
I'll note that the police have been called. It's obviously impossible to proceed with the meeting, and the meeting will need to be abandoned due to safety concerns. I'll ask councillors to clear the chamber.
Once more, the pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel movement looks more like ugly anti-Semitism, which is why the issue of Gazan refugees and security checks is not just about politics, but about national security and social cohesion. And it makes another comment from the ASIO boss look like an irresponsible attempt at keeping everybody happy.
In terms of where this is going, it's across the board. Yes, there's plenty of anti-Semitism, but there's plenty of Islamophobia at the same time. It's kind of a almost equal treatment. Not quite, but almost equal treatment.
Really? No one seriously believes that. The evidence is there for everyone to see. These issues are not going to go away. In fact, they are intensifying, and the ASIO boss has only added to the confusion and the concerns. I've been saying it for 10 months now, but it's absolutely crucial that the Prime Minister shows some leadership here. He needs to be rebuking anti-Semitism and hate preaching. His ambivalence and moral equivalence is fuelling rather than quelling the social tensions in this country.